The Boston Red Sox came in tonight looking for a series sweep. However, they were denied by Shohei Ohtani, and it was the show tonight. It was Showtime, and Shohei Ohtani showed up and put the Angels on his back tonight. The Angels had lost 14 straight heading into tonight. Red Sox had won 7 straight. So the Angels are bound to win at some point. The Red Sox are bound to lose at some point, but it still sucks to lose if you're the Red Sox. However, still positive, 6-1 so far on this West Coast road trip. It's been a good road trip so far. There's a lot to talk about tonight's game and what's next for the Red Sox. So let's get into that here. My name is Derek. You're watching Red Sox Recap on Bleacher Brawls, and let's get into it. Well, if there's 2 words to describe tonight, it's Showtime. Shohei Ohtani. It was the show tonight. It was Showtime. He stepped up. He showed up. And he proved why he was the MVP last year and why he's arguably the most, no, I shouldn't even say arguably, that he is the most talented player in the big leagues right now. No one else is doing what he's doing. He comes out tonight and pitches 7 innings and also puts up a 2-run bomb at the plate. Just a very good game. The Red Sox, it looked good for them early. Pivetta was pitching well. And they scored early, bottom of the order, getting some work in, especially and it ended up being a sacrifice fly from Bobby Dahlbeck in the top of the 5th to score a run after the pitching and just kind of shut down both sides, not allowing either side to score. Then obviously in the bottom of the 5th, everything kind of starts to go a little bit wrong for the Red Sox. Pivetta had struggled earlier in the game. That second inning had bases loaded, but he worked out of it, got out of it, but the pitch count was high because of that. And in the 5th inning, Lagares gets on base, and then Shohei does his thing, hits a 2-run homer, and puts the Angels up 2-1. And then it got worse. The 6th inning, Pivetta walks the first 2 guys. Sal Moore comes in, looks good, gets the first 2 guys out, gets Andrew Velazquez up to an 0-2 count. And then I don't know why in the world he threw a fastball, whether Vasquez called for it or he called for it. I don't know if he didn't just chose to throw a fastball or Vasquez told him to throw a fastball. I don't know. But I thought he's swung and missed. He's seen 2 splitters and he hasn't done anything. Throw another one at least. And they threw a fastball and it was pretty much over the middle of the plate. And that's what happens. Velasquez hasn't been great this year offensively, but he's still an MLB player. He can still, hit the ball. I mean, it's not his batting average is 0. And if you look back at that pitch from Salamora, it was almost right down the middle, a little bit higher than right down the middle, a tiny little bit outside, but it was essentially right down the middle. You just can't miss your location there at the big leagues. So that was the down point, but it all started from Pivetta walking the first 2 guys. I think that should be remembered as well. Pivetta doesn't walk those first 2 guys, or even if he just walks one of them and gets another one out, and then Sal Moore comes and gets the next 2 guys out, the inning's over. Whereas now, because you walk the first 2, Sal Moore gets 2 outs, and then the 3rd guy up hits the homer, and Andrew Velazquez. Pivetta got tagged for 4 earned runs because those 2 guys on base were Pivetta's guys. They're credited to him, and then Sal Moore obviously got the run from the homer. So, yes, blame does kind of go on Sal Moore a little bit because, yes, it was a bad pitch, but also I thought Cora should have pulled Pivetta after the 5th inning because the pitch count was already high. And then in the 6th inning, after he walked the first guy, I was like, you got to pull him. And he kept him in there for another guy, and he walked another guy. So at that point, you had to pull him. But I do wonder if the hook kid, it could have came out a little bit earlier, whether it was after that first batter or even before the inning. But hindsight's always 20/20, let's be fair. So, you never know. And then obviously the Red Sox eventually, Alex Verdugo gets a kind of a run that doesn't really matter in the 8th, the single. And Alex Verdugo did have a good game today. Hit the ball hard a lot, and he got 2 hits because of that, but it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. 2 runs wasn't going to be enough tonight. And it really was the Shohei show tonight. There's no other way to put it. It was the Shohei Ohtani game. This was the game. Ohtani coming out throwing. Like, I think there's two things that really kind of put this game into the context of, like, it was Ohtani. It was the Ohtani game. The strikeout of Rafi Devers, where he just rears back and throws 101, which is the first time he'd throw 101 this year. And then obviously that homer, 104 off the bat, just, It's Shohei Ohtani. There's no words to describe him. He's just so special, and and I was kind of figuring, if the Angels are going to break this win streak, it's going to have to be with Ohtani on the mound. Ohtani's going to have to do something special. No Trout, no Rendon. I know Rendon hasn't been amazing for the Angels, but you never know. I think he just needs to be healthy, for a significant amount of time instead of getting injured and having stuff creep up on him. And the Red Sox definitely threw a weaker lineup out again today. No Bogarts, no Trevor Story. Your middle infield is Christian Arroyo and Jonathan Arauz. And I think this also shows why they brought up Arauz, because they probably had a feeling that Bogarts isn't playing one of these last 2 games, which makes sense. We do know Rob Refsnyder is going to getting called up. I don't know. There isn't like a corresponding roster move, it seems. So I don't know what it could be, sending Arauz down for the Seattle series and then using Refsnyder there. The thing is, he's not on the 40-man, so we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. Honestly, I have no clue how it will play out, but I know they don't necessarily want to call Duran up because I think they are facing 2 lefties in Seattle. So at that point, they probably wouldn't use Duran, so it's kind of a waste to call him up. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. And it sucks because it seems like they have a kind of a decent amount of injuries right now with Kike, Evaldi having the injury. Hansel was just got back. And Matt Barnes, even though he's Matt Barnes, hasn't been good, but he's still injured. It's Whitlock's. I think there's something about Whitlock also having a little bit of a hip problem like Evaldi. So it just hasn't been a great stretch for the Red Sox health-wise. And I say that, it doesn't matter how good you are, you need to be lucky. And part of that luck is injury luck. The Angels haven't had it recently. And I think that has played into their 14-game losing streak, that the injuries, a couple guys get cold, especially like a guy like Mike Trout gets cold, and then they've been injured. And look at the Red Sox now. It seems like they're starting to get injured and you're starting to run out of guys you can use. And that's, Bogarts, if Kige's injured, if let's say Bogarts has to miss a couple games, and now you're starting to run short on guys, and now Arroyo's going to have to play every day, and Bradley and Franchy are going to play. Bradley's playing every day, and Franchy's playing almost every day. Dahlbeck's playing, almost every day. So you're starting to run out of guys that you can use that you feel comfortable with. And I know Dahlbeck's been better as of late out of his last couple games, but as of right now, based on what Dahlbeck's done all season, you don't want to play him every day. Let's be honest. And I think that's what the Red Sox are gonna. They had to play Arauz tonight because they had no one else to play shortstop. And I think that is why they called him up. But they literally had no one else because they were giving Trevor Story an off day. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if Verdugo gets an off day in the Seattle series against one of the lefties. So we're gonna see. What's this team gonna look like? And I think that could be why they're calling up They might call up Refsnyder. If Verdugo is gonna get an off day, especially against one of the lefties, that would make sense. And in that case, I guess it's just the Red Sox. It's kind of bad timing. Let's be honest, because it seems like there's a bunch going on at once. It's not just a guy injury, like an injury here and an injury there. It seems like a lot of these things are happening at the same time, and that's not good for the Red Sox. That's not good. From the Angel side of things tonight, there's obviously it's just Shohei Ohtani, but there were some other contributors from the Angels. Obviously, Velasquez had that 3-run homer. That was a big one. Obviously, got the Angels the extra runs they needed, as the Red Sox did score 2. But you also look at it tonight. The Red Sox offense tonight, they only had 2 extra base hits, a double from Verdugo and a double from Martinez. The Angels tonight had 4 extra base hits, but 2 of them were home runs, and both of those home runs are where they got all their runs. So and the Red Sox didn't hit a homer all this series. So it's been kind of like a base hit here for the Red Sox, base hit there for the Red Sox. And let's look at it. Now, 4-game series, the Red Sox scored 2 tonight. They scored 1 Wednesday night. They scored 6 Tuesday night. They scored 1 on Monday night. That's what? for 10 runs in a 4-game series, if you told me the Red Sox were only going to score 10 runs in this 4-game series and they'd win 3 of those games, I'd be like, you're joking. That's not happening. Also, too, if you told me the Red Sox were going to be 6-1 after the first 7 games of this West Coast road trip, I would have said, you're lying. They're not going to be 6-1. Like maybe 5-2 at best. But you would have said 6-1. I'd be like, I don't know about that. But it does put the Red Sox in a good spot because if they go, they're 6-1 right now. They go and they've won this series. Obviously, sweep would have been nice, but 4-game sweeps are hard. Let's be honest, they are hard. They're one of the hardest things to do in baseball, regardless of who you're playing. Then you go into the Seattle series. You win the Seattle series, even if you lose one of the games. You win the Seattle series, take 2 out of 3. That's an 8-2 West Coast road trip. You take that. You 100% take that. You take that any day of the week. You're taking that. 8-2 on a West Coast road trip. So it's going to come up to the Seattle series, obviously. The Red Sox will have Hill, Walker, and Whitlock on the mound. So no Eovaldi and Pivetta. So we'll see how that eventually works, how the pitching looks. But Walker has been good, and we'll see what the Red Sox get out of Hill and Whitlock. The Mariners haven't announced their pitchers, but the expected pitchers, kind of the probable pitchers, we're expecting to see 2 lefties in that series. So we'll see how it actually plays out, though. And when the Mariners actually announce the starters, we'll see who they're starting. And then obviously, last but not least, obviously the Red Sox. Now, if you look at the standings and you look at the wild card standings, they're just half a game ahead of Cleveland. And it's looking, obviously, the Angels, White Sox are 2.5 behind, Texas 3 behind, Seattle's 3.5 behind now. But it looks like the Red Sox are going to need to win at least 2 of these 3 games to stay ahead of Cleveland. And Cleveland's been good, and they've had a lot of good performances. And I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland bought at the deadline. That would not surprise me at all. I think Cleveland is surprising a decent amount of people. I mean, they're second. If you would have said Cleveland's second in the division, you would have said the White Sox are first. But Minnesota's first in that division, and then Cleveland's second. Cleveland's only 3 games back in Minnesota, so that should also be stated. So it would be nice though for the Red Sox. They can, win the Seattle series. Then you get a day off. Hopefully, get some guys healthy, and then you get to play Oakland again on a 3-game series. So that'll be big. Then you get St. Louis for 3 games, and then you get Detroit for 3 games. So in that kind of 9-game home stretch, the Red Sox are going to need to win at least 6 at the very minimum, which is 2 games from each series on average, which means you'd win every series. That's what they're going to need to do at the minimum. But first of all, obviously the Seattle series, and once again, just win the series at the minimum. At this point of the season, just win series. Just win series. If another team starts going on some crazy, 20-0 run or whatever, good for them. But at this point, just win series. Just focus on yourself. Don't worry about any other teams. Just focus on yourself and win series. That's what the Red Sox need to do. Don't, looking at the standings. Obviously, as fans, we can. But just win series, and that's all we need to see from the Red Sox. Even if they drop a game in every series, just win every series, and they'll be fine. They're over 500 now. So if they go over 500 in every series, or in a 2 or 4 game series, they split, they just don't lose series, the Red Sox will be in a very good spot later into the season, and that's big. But I think that's going to wrap this one up. Thanks for tuning in. Obviously, check out all the links in the description, the podcast, the website, the Instagram, the Twitter, and all the crew's Twitters. They're also down there as well. Make sure that while you're there, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We want to hear your thoughts on this, and we're going to be active in the comment section. Make sure to check out all our previous Red Sox game recaps, our prospect pipelines, and all of our other videos. We have a video coming out later today at 2 p.m. Eastern here on Friday, June 10th, where I will fill out my MLB All-Star ballot. I'll fill out all the guys I'm picking to be the All-Star starters. So make sure to check that one out. And also, too, on Monday, we will have another video covering a guy who I'm not going to say it yet. I'll save it. But it's a guy who I really like and I really want to cover, and I really, really like, and I think he will be a future ace for a long time to come. But that's it. This is Red Sox Recap on Bleacher Brawls. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Derek, and we'll see you next time.